everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are doing my 2025 goals as well as my vision board. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Raisa. I talk a lot about my personal finances, my small business, and luxury goods, so if you're into that, make sure you're subscribed down below. Okay, it is the middle of January and I finally have my 2025 goals set. I think in the previous years I really was the type of person who would have my goals set like January 1st. Like I would take the last week of December and just really think about what I want my year to look like and how I plan to spend it and all of that. And this year wasn't really like that. I don't know, I almost kind of had to like get myself in the mood to set goals. I don't know what that's about. I still am such a big goal setter, and I want to tell you guys my really simple way of how I set goals and achieve them throughout the year. But I don't know, this year was just a little bit of like a slower start. I think part of it was because I started my year off in Toronto with my family and I didn't come back to Vancouver where like my entire life is here basically, and I don't know, it just made it really hard for me to get into that mindset of goal setting. I kind of want to encourage you guys, if you haven't set your goals yet, not to force anything and just kind of let it come to you. One of the things that I did was put on a Jim Rohn video. If you don't know Jim Rohn, he is a motivational speaker and I like to listen to his YouTube like motivation speeches to kind of like get me through the day. And if I'm just feeling a little bit down and need some motivation, I would put a Jim Rohn video on. There was one that came up that was all around goal setting, and I was like, this is the perfect video that I need to kind of get my mind around that. So I put on that video and the goals kind of kept flowing. So I have my list of goals and it's all aspects of my life. So we're talking personal finances, health and wellness, personal well-being and all that, as well as my small business and YouTube. We're going to talk about all of the things. And then I don't know where my phone is, but I also put together a vision board. The vision board I put together last week, and that was really fun to just kind of like start to plot out what sort of images I want to see every day and what things I want to, I don't know, create for my life, I guess. I really do think that vision boards and your goals kind of come hand in hand. So you'll see that there's a lot of similarities and like parallels, kind of my vision for my life as well as the goals that I'm setting. Before we get into the list of goals, I want to talk to you guys about how I actually set my goals. And I have done this type of video over the last 2 years, and I always start off with this. So when I'm setting goals, I always like to have I will at the very front of the goal, because it's really there to set an intention. So it's not like I want to, or I hope, or I wish. It's I will, because you're telling yourself that you're going to get it done. So I will always starts the beginning of my goals, and then the goal itself in the middle, and then by the end you have a sort of timeline or a frequency. So by frequency I mean like every day I will go to the gym every day as an example, or it could also be a specific time frame. So let's say you want to take a trip and want to visit Europe for the first time in the summer. You will say, I will visit Italy and Spain in May 2025, like as an example. So that is kind of how I write my goals, and I also just like speak them out loud, and it just has so much power, and you're putting that like energy out there that you're going to do this thing by this certain date or this often. And I just find that, yeah, I don't know, I feel like they do come true. If you didn't see my yearly reflection about my goals, I will have it linked over here. That's just me looking back on what I set for 2024 and what I've achieved and what I didn't. So yeah, let's dive right into it. This year when I was writing down my goals, I was really thinking about what I can sustain from the previous year. I think one of the things that I'm reflecting on is that in 2025, there's nothing like crazy new that I want to sort of like add into my life. I think that I've built so much over the last couple years in 2023 and 2024, and this year I just want to continue on the momentum that I've been on. So a lot of my goals are similar to last year. There are a couple new ones. I don't think it's anything like revolutionary. I also don't like necessarily believe in resolutions, because I do think that those kind of like fade after a couple months. But it's really interesting to see that the goals that I set last year, I'm still continuing on because they're still really important to me. So that's kind of how I'm approaching my goals. So let's start off with health. I broke down health under two categories. One is mental and one is physical. I think that both mental and physical are such a big part of just like your health as a whole. And sometimes we forget the mental. So I just wrote down one goal for my mental health, which is I will meet with my therapist once a month. I have continued this goal for the last few years now, and it does really help to talk to someone who is a third party who really isn't like a family member or a friend, just having another perspective to just bounce ideas off of and just like talk through different situations. I'm really lucky because I have an amazing therapist and we've just like really hit it off, and I feel like I can be really honest with her. So I think if you guys want to get into therapy at all this year, just maybe having a call with someone just to feel them out at first, and then hopefully you find someone that you really vibe with, because I do think that it's pretty life-changing. The next is physical. I have a couple goals in this. The first one, which is kind of new, I mean, I have done it in the past, but I just wrote it down just so I'm like, I'm gonna stick to this. The first one is I will stretch every morning. I used to, when I was doing my yoga teacher training, stretch and do a whole yoga practice before I even go to work that day. I was really into my yoga practice at that time. I still am, but I just want to make some time in the morning to just do a stretch, because I feel like I honestly feel better after a stretch, whether it's just moving your body when you first wake up. It just feels really good, and sometimes I skip that because I already want to get to the like productive part of my day, but I need to remember that this part is also productive and just like moving your body and stretching it. So that is goal number one for my physical. The next is I will continue my yoga practice twice a week. This is also not a very new goal. I just want to be a little bit more consistent with my yoga practice. As I mentioned, I am a certified yoga teacher, and I find there's so many benefits to yoga, and just having it written down in my goals allows me to really stick with that. I have two studios that I like to go here in Vancouver. One is Jaybird, the other one is Y Yoga, and if you're a beginner yogi and just want to get into it, I highly recommend those two studios. The next is I will run 3 times a week. Again, not a very new goal. I have been running the last few seasons and just trying to be really consistent with it. I'm not fast by any means, and I'm really just doing it for my health and just wanting to get out there and like clear my mind. I find running therapeutic and it's good for you. So I set a goal of 3 times a week just to be consistent with it. I mentioned in my previous video that I have a lot of my friends running the BMO half marathon and just marathon training in general, and they keep asking me to join them. And when I was thinking about my goals, I don't know, it wasn't something that I'm like, yeah, like I really want to do that. I don't know. I want to keep running. I want to keep being consistent with it, and I don't want it to just be like a thing to check off the list of like running a marathon or running a half marathon, just because, I don't know, right now in my current like day-to-day, yes, I'm gonna run 3 times a week, or I want to, but marathon training is a whole other beast, and I just don't know if I have the capacity to really focus on that, because I'm so focused on like other things. For instance, YouTube, my small business, my 9-to-5. There's just already a lot going on, and to add that on, I just feel like I'm going to burn out. So running a marathon did not make the list this year, and that's totally okay. And also, it could change. For whatever reason, I want to run one in the fall. Like, I could make changes to this goals. It's not like a set in stone, like this is what you're gonna do. Like, things can change and fluctuate, and yeah, right now not in my goals list, but I still want to continue running. And then the last one for health is I will cultivate a balance in my life. So I mentioned a lot of the things that I get up to on a weekly, daily basis already. I really just want to prioritize rest. So having rest, work, and play all kind of like in the balance. And that's not going to be perfect every single week. Obviously, there's going to be things that come up and all of that, but I just want to make sure that rest is also a part of my routine. Sometimes when I'm just like really deep in the work, it's like go, 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 and that's not healthy for you. So just remembering balance is key, and having rest in your life is very crucial if I want to keep going. Otherwise, I'm going to burn out. So those are my health and wellness goals. The next category I want to talk about is personal. So I think a really big theme I have for my personal is just deepening my relationships. I really want to get back into prioritizing like friends and like my family. Not that I don't already, but I just want to focus on that a little bit more and just like nurturing those relationships. So one of them is I will call my parents once a week and I will prioritize like my friendships throughout the year. What that looks like is not bailing on plans or even going out of my way to make plans with my friends if I really want to see them. But yeah, that's something that I want to work on this year. The next is not new. It's I will invest in myself through books and courses, just self-development in those different ways. I find that I learned so much through books and courses, so I want to keep doing that. Battery died. I'm not actually sure where we left off. I think I was saying I will read 30 books this year. I'm feeling pretty good about this goal. I hit about 49 books last year. I just don't want to overcommit myself, so that's why I'm doing 30. I think 30 is a really good goal for an entire year. I have a Kindle which makes reading really easy, and I also have Audible, so I like to listen to a lot of books, which makes the goal pretty easy. But I think the goal itself isn't like about the number, it's about the knowledge and like the stories and like the different perspectives that you get from reading books. The next is I will continue pursuing hobbies like tennis and pickleball this year. I really like this goal because it's so fun. I don't know, there's no pressure. I did tennis lessons last summer and it was just so much fun, and I wasn't amazing by any means. I also tried pickleball the other week, and it's just fun to try new things, and you don't necessarily need to be like really good at it, and it's fun to just be like a beginner at something. So I want to continue those two racket sports this year, just kind of as hobbies. I think that they're just so much fun. Okay, those are all of my personal goals. Next, let's talk about finances. Finances, this was an interesting one. I didn't have a ton that I put in here, and actually a lot of them were similar to the goals that I set for last year. So the first one is I will put $100 bi-weekly into my emergency fund. Yes, this goal has been around for probably the last 2 years. I've been pretty consistent with this. I think it's not like a wow goal. It's $100, and I think the most important thing is just being consistent with it. And I've been so proud of myself for being so consistent with putting money into my emergency fund. I've had to dip into my emergency fund a little bit just to get some new inventory for the line, but I'm really committed to just being consistent in putting $100 into my emergency fund this year and continuing to watch it grow. I think just having the habit of putting money down and paying yourself first, is what I like to call it, is so key. And for me, $100 is good right now. And if there are any like bonuses or lump sum payments that I can make, I'll definitely do that. But $100 I can commit to bi-weekly into my emergency fund. And then on that same note, I am going to continue putting down $300 bi-weekly into my tax-free savings account. So this is another one that I'm so proud of. I have been investing for the last 4 years. I think I started kind of during the pandemic. I just want to continue again, like that consistency of putting money down. This amount has been raised. So I think it was like $100 initially, then $200, and $300 is what I set last year, which to me was really challenging, and it's still challenging, right? It's like you're taking that money away and saving it for your future self instead of like spending it on like, I don't know, something that will give you instant gratification in that moment. I just want to be mindful of like myself in the future and setting myself up. So $300 to me feels really good. It's still challenging. It still stretches me, and yet I can be consistent with it. And then the third finance goal is I will regularly reflect on my budget every single month. So I have been doing this on YouTube. Actually, I've got a whole playlist that is all about my money diaries that I put out every single month. And I have been really enjoying them because I get to look back with you guys on a monthly basis to see how we did with our budget. And hopefully you're doing your budget along with me. And it's just so much fun to just be mindful of our finances and really looking at the numbers and reflecting back, and not necessarily being like mad at yourself if you don't hit your budget. It's just adjusting every single month. And I like to do that with you guys on camera, and it's just so much fun that I get to film it and I get to look back on it in a couple years. So I will continue to do that in 2025. Some things that aren't in here is a net worth goal. I did a recent net worth video. I will have it linked over here. I think right now I'm at 200K, which is incredible, truly. I don't think I calculated my net worth prior to doing that video, so I was even shocked at that number. I do want to continue, obviously, increasing my net worth. Like, I think through my savings goals, I will eventually get there, putting down money every single month into investing, into savings. Another thing that's also not in here is my retirement savings plan. So I do have an RRSP through my corporate job. So it does get taken out before taxes get taken out. So that's just consistent, and that comes off my paycheck bi-weekly. So that's also in the works. But in terms of like finance goals, I would like my net worth to go up, and I'm expecting it to, just based on the investments that I'm putting down. I will do an updated net worth closer to the end of 2025, so we can kind of see together how my savings goals all add up to my net worth getting higher every single year. Okay, now let's talk about my YouTube goals. So I have 4 YouTube goals. The first one is I will collaborate with 5 brands this year. I really like doing brand deals. I've done a couple of them, and I love getting to share some really cool brands with you. I have a lot of brands reaching out in my inbox, and some of them just aren't the right fit. So I want to make sure that anything that I put out as an ad, it's actually something that I think is cool, or I would use, or I think that you guys would benefit from. So I really want to be mindful of the brands that I partner with, and I really want to collaborate with 5 really cool brands in 2025. The next is I will generate $200 every month from YouTube AdSense or Google AdSense. I always set a goal of $100 if you guys watch my Money Diaries videos. And lately I've been hitting 200 every single month, which is exciting. And I think it's just a backlog of all the videos that I put out are just getting some views, and also the new videos that I'm putting out. So I want to maintain a consistent $200 every single month for YouTube AdSense. And then I will post 1 video every single week. This has been just like my consistent goal on YouTube. Like, regardless of performance, regardless of the numbers, I will put out a video every single week, and I've been doing a pretty good job of that. So I just want to continue that on in 2025. There are weeks where maybe I'm on vacation, or maybe it's a really busy time for my small business, that I might have to cut a video here and there, but for the most part, I want to put out 52 videos in 2025. And the last goal is something that I'm bringing back. It's something that I didn't hit last year, but I want to bring it back and manifest it into my life in this channel. It's I will hit 20,000 subscribers this year. I think last year was a lot of like learning. It was my first full year on YouTube. It's a lot of learning and figuring out my channel, and just really understanding the type of content that I want to put out. And this year I have a clearer idea, not to say that my channel is perfect by any means, but I just have a clearer idea now that I've put out over 100 videos here on YouTube, which is crazy. Every year you just learn and grow, and I don't know, I feel like I'm ready for 20,000. I'm manifesting 20,000. Let's hope I hit it for 2025. Okay, last category is the line, which is my small stationery business. So for the line, I have a couple goals. The first one being I will build a small team to support the growth of the line. I have hired 2 new people on top of the 2 people that I've hired in 2024. So I have a small team of 4. They're all part-time contractors who are helping me grow the brand. I have a graphic designer as well as a social media strategist who's helping me post more on TikTok and Instagram. And I'm really excited to see what they come up to help the brand grow in 2025. And I just want to cultivate a really good like working environment for them. A couple of them are remote, a couple of them are in the studio, and yeah, I'm actually even just fixing up the studio for the people who are in here so that they feel really comfortable and relaxed and just feel like it's a good place to work, if that makes sense. So I'm really focused on my team and growing my team this year. The next goal is I will collaborate with a like-minded brand this year. This is, I think, my biggest small business goal, I would say, for this year. I have collaborated with a couple of creators, namely Zoe Pritchard as well as Alyssa Lenore, who are amazing partners and collaborators. I just feel so lucky that I get to work with them. In 2025, I want to continue my brand's reach and brand awareness, and I think partnering with a brand could do that. So I want to make sure that whoever I partner with this year, who is very like-minded and just has the same sort of goals as me and as the line. So I want to be thoughtful in the people that I partner with. And then the third goal is I will continue to cultivate and nourish my relationships with my existing partners like Zoe and Alyssa. I love working with these two creators. They're just so kind and amazing, and I want to see what we can do for 2025. So just continuing to cultivate and nourish those relationships. And then the last goal I always have to have a revenue goal because it's just a guiding light or a North Star to kind of strive towards. But if you guys watched my yearly recap video, you would know that we hit 100K in revenue for the line for the first time ever in a single year, which is insane, like actually insane. And this year I just want to continue that. So I'm putting out a goal of hitting 150K in revenue for the line. With the small team that I hired, I really hope that I could use the money that I'm paying them and like really invest it back to the brand and help the brand grow and all that. So got really big goals for the line and just want to continue to grow the brand. And yeah, I don't know, I'm really excited for 2025. So those are all of my goals, and like I said, they are things that could shift and change throughout the year. I want to tell you guys some of my words of the year. I know that word of the year is something that a lot of people do. I was thinking about this and I'm like, there's so many words that are coming up for me, and just like in so many different aspects of my life, I guess. So one of them is curiosity. The second one is possibility. The third one is lock in. And then I have balance and trust. I feel like with curiosity, it's just about, I don't know, it's kind of, this one is a little bit more about like being curious about new things and new hobbies. For instance, like tennis and pickleball, like really approaching that with curiosity of like just letting it be fun, not tied to any specific goal. It's just, you're just there to have fun. That's why curiosity is one of my words. For possibility, it's, I don't know, with a new year, it just feels like there's so many things that are possible and anything can happen. And if you just set your mind to it and put your manifestations out there, I do think that things will come true. Lock in, I feel like, yes, it's two words, but I feel like that is like my go-getter mindset of like, you gotta lock in. I don't know, I just really like that. It's so like, what's the word? When you lock in, you're just like hyper-focused, I guess. Balance, I already talked about balance, just making sure that rest is always a part of my life. And then trusting in the universe that it's guiding me in the place that I need to be going to, and just letting go of control of things that you actually can't control. Letting the universe just guide me is why I put trust in there. So those are my words of the year. Now let's talk about my vision board. I'm gonna get my phone. Okay, I showed this in my last video, but we've got a brand new vision board on my phone. This is my 2025 version, and I will pop a screenshot over here and we can talk about all of the images. So the very first one with the desk, this is kind of a representation of like what the vibe I want for my office to be, the office that we're in right now. It's a little bit of a work in progress. I did get a few new things like a desk for it, but it's not fully complete. But that's just kind of a focus for myself, is making sure that the office is a really nice space for people to work in. And yeah, that's why that's there. The one on the right of that is myself recently when I did a run, actually this past weekend. This is just part of my running goals of making sure I'm consistent with running. Then in the middle of that, I've got, oh my God, there's so many images here. So I've got my subscriber list. I actually put 25,000 when I did my vision board. So 25,000 subscribers. And then I've got a little handbag to the left. That's a handbag from Totem. Not that I want that specific handbag. I do like that handbag a lot. And it's something that recently crossed my mind of potentially getting it, but I want to get a new handbag from Totem. I like this one and their T-lock bag. So I just put that as like something that I potentially want to get in the future. And then in the middle, you can see the Line X, a brand collaboration. We talked about that already. And then the words care for your body. This is really just being mindful of my health and my wellness and making sure that I'm implementing rest in there. And I didn't mention this, but I think my partner and I want to go to Copenhagen this year. We went to Copenhagen a couple years ago, and it's honestly our favorite city and really want to go back there. So that's an image from Copenhagen. And then I've got someone reading a book. I've got a girl playing tennis. And I also have 2 girls working. This is just building out my team. And then I've got 3 Cartier watches in there. Not that I want 3. I already have one, but I want to add another one to my collection. And I'm thinking of the Panther, which is the one that looks kind of like more like a jewelry piece. But I also want the Francais eventually. I don't know. TBD. I don't know if I'm gonna get a watch this year, but if I do really want another Cartier one in stainless steel. This is so funny because I made this vision board last week and I wrote my goals today. And in my vision board, I put $200,000 in total sales for my business. But in my goals that I wrote, I put 150K. It's almost like I was really stretching myself last week, but this week I was a little bit more realistic. And then the last thing I'll mention is the RM in the middle. Obviously, those are my initials, but I want to really focus in on my personal brand this year, whether that's through my website or through YouTube. So really implementing the fonts and the colorways. I redid my website this past weekend and I love it. And this is my font for my website. So I just want to make sure that my personal brand kind of shines through in everything that I do. So that's what that is. I really like how it turned out and I love creating these vision boards. They're just so much fun and like aspirational. Those are all of my 2025 goals and my vision board. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you have your 2025 goals. What is something that you want to get up to in 2025? What is your word of the year? I would love to know in the comments, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.